Hello, my friends. That's a quick video, which is actually my response to your comments to my previous video about the theory of evolution. And thank you very much for your comments. They are fantastic. I'm very happy that you engage and you're interested in this topic. However, the evolution it's kind of on the margins of my exploration. I'll talk about it definitely, but it's not really the core of my message here on this channel. However, it's a very interesting topic and a lot of you are passionate about it. So thank you very much for your comments. Now, I got some positive comments and some negative comments. And today I'm gonna respond to the negative comments. And sorry guys who gave me a positive comments. As the saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I am gonna talk about the negative comments first. So my observation first, I think this is important. Whenever I talk about evolution or I engage in any discussions about evolution and Darwin and neo-Darwinism, people defending Darwinism get very emotional. They are just upset that there's an alternative way of looking at the reality. And of course, I do understand they are convinced, they like the logical beauty of this theory, which is beautiful. I agree with that. But I think sometimes we lose the specificity as we get emotional. So I understand it also because I was such a person myself. When I was young, I read Richard Dawkins' book, The Selfish Gene. I was absolutely stunned by it. It's a brilliant piece. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I had to verify my point of view. And at that time, I was an atheist. I just didn't believe any creator or designer existed ever. And I was a researcher coming from a long tradition of materialistic thinking, but I couldn't make the facts I saw in my research, in my work, professional work, those facts just didn't add up. So as an honest thinker, I decided to dig deeper, do my research, observe the facts, and come up with some reasonable hypothesis. What I present to you is a hypothesis. Okay. So very often, people who criticize my approach or criticize other people who are against the theory of evolution, that the critics come from the religious perspective or some cultural tradition perspective. And that's true. A lot of Darwin's or neo-Darwinism critiques come from a religious perspective. But it may come as a surprise to you that I'm not a religious person. I do not know who or what created humans. I think, and I have some indications for that we were created, we were designed. And whether it was God or something, I don't know. I don't have any opinion on that. But I'm not a religious person. What happened with me, that as a physicist, my first degree is in physics, and a biomedical engineer, and a designer, which is probably the most important part here. I came to the conclusion that it is, and I designed medical devices. I've done a pretty big amount of human research, animal research, and observing physiology, and observing how my designs evolve, how my designs interact, and then I have to change them, I have to improve them, and I see a constant feedback loop. I came to the conclusion that biological designs cannot be created by random mutation and blind selection. So I do have some theories, and I will be happy to present them. I will present them here on this channel that I think explain better this need for a feedback loop and conscious design of humans. And second point, it seems like people who criticize me think that I am attacking the theory of evolution. I criticize it. I think I found some weak points, and this is not just my opinion. There are biologists that use very similar argument to mine, and you can find them. Right now there's a discussion in biology going on about the theory of evolution and some problems with it. So it's not really controversial to evaluate other ideas. What would be controversial to me is to religiously follow just one theory and say we don't think anything else matters. I think this is unscientific. So I'm not attacking the theory of evolution. I'm just showing some weak points. And I think it's a beautiful theory, just like in physics, string theory. Fantastic, beautiful, mathematically perfect. It just, we cannot prove experimentally that it's true. So the big question, the big problem I have with the theory of evolution is a lack of predictive power. And the second big problem, and I'm talking as a designer, is the assumption that the complexity of biological machines, if I may call them that, stems from random mutations without any feedback except for natural selection, which I think it's a horrible concept, and it's a very weak concept. It's like if we don't know what's going on, we say natural selection. But anyway, I will also come to it in my other videos. And maybe a pointy comment to my people who critique my approach. Well, it's not really pointy. It's what I experienced. Those people never designed any complex device. And the angle they are coming from is purely theoretical and speculative. So they speculate that certain things are probably true, and they think that people who are opposed to those theoretical concepts and constructs are just uneducated. And this is not true. There are many very educated people who critique neo-Darwinian hypothesis, and it's just, you know, a good thing to listen to them maybe, and just make some corrections or have a discussion. So I would compare the neo-Darwinian theory to a set of rules for a board game like chess, right? So everything links logically to everything else. It's a logical concept. We can say, yeah, this piece can move that way, this piece can move that way, but when it comes to a specific situation on the board, we cannot really predict the next move. We may say, well, these moves are possible, these are allowed by the rules, but what comes next is unknown. It's like it boils down to the decision of the player. So it's a similar thing, and of course this lack of a predictive power in the theory of evolution comes from the fact that we have a very large time scale, and it's horribly difficult to test it. And I was referring in my previous video to physics, where, let's say, take a simple example everybody understands, traditional or classic mechanics. So in classical mechanics, if I have an object on Earth with a certain gravitational field, and I throw this object with a certain velocity, v0, and I know the angle, I can calculate, I can predict the whole thing, how it behaves. I can tell you what happens after 1 second, 10 seconds, and so on and so forth, right? And the neo-Darwinian hypothesis cannot do it simply. And it kind of created this problem on its own, because it refers to very long time scales which are necessary to show that random mutation is the source of variability. So, and I just showed you the classical mechanics an example, and of course it's not a perfect theory either, right? So after Newton, other people came and said, well, if the objects move very fast, then you have to introduce those corrections. So it's an ongoing process in science to keep improving our theories, to keep adding arguments and sometimes assumptions, sometimes removing assumptions with facts, right? With scientific proofs. So we should rather exchange information than just assume that the other person is just uneducated and doesn't know. Yeah, and the third point is exactly about that. I received a comment that I don't understand the theory of evolution. Okay, thank you for the comment, first of all, and I don't claim I know everything. Of course I don't, but I'm willing to learn. However, I think it's somewhat unproductive if we just stop there. You know, what if I said, well, you don't understand my point, and that's it, right? I don't elaborate on that. I just say, you don't understand what I said. That's it. If you think I don't understand, please give me the facts. And I created this channel for the community of people who seek the truth. I don't really care if you are right. That's great. Just let's talk about it and prove me wrong. That's fine. And I'm happy to change my perspective. So we should educate ourselves through discussions, debates, and the exchange of ideas. And this is what I teach my students. And I bet you want to prove me wrong. So do that. Just do that. Just don't say that I'm wrong. Prove that I'm wrong. And the last point I also mentioned before, in biology right now as we speak, people see shortcomings in this theory or hypothesis of evolution, neo-Darwinism, and as far as I see, the biggest problem is the feedbacks between the environment and the organism that cause certain adaptations. So the adaptations just don't come from random mutations and selection. They come from certain feedbacks that are present within biological systems. And that would be a very interesting design feature, if you don't mind me saying that. So thank you, my friends, for your excellent response. Remember, only the truth is interesting. Talk to you soon. Bye.